Hey everybody, it is Mike Petralia, Trags, back with the latest installment of the Jungle Roar Pod, brought to you by our good friends at Prize Picks and All Good Home Improvement, and of course, our friends at CLNS Media. My pleasure to welcome into the rotation on the Jungle Roar Podcast. We always need depth in the secondary, right? We always need depth. And to that end, I'm very happy to introduce Regan Holgate of Fox 19 here in Cincinnati, the official TV coverage provider of your Cincinnati Bengals. Regan, how you doing on this very, very warm, hot, sweltering, whatever adjective you want to use on this summer day? How you doing?
Oh, I'm great, Trags. It's great to be with you. This is the second time now in I think 3 days. I
Yes.
could not be luckier to be talking to you once again. So yes, I'm very excited. I'm avoiding the heat as much as possible. Going to go cover the Reds a little bit later today. Hopefully I don't have to be on the field for that long, but we will see what the plan is. But we are surviving. We're in survival mode right now.
We are that indeed. Just referencing what Regan was talking about there. She did a phenomenal job with me on ESPN 1530 on Friday afternoon. All right, this is a Bengals podcast. We can talk about Chase Burns and the Reds making his Major League debut on Tuesday against the Bronx Bombers, but this is a football podcast, and I want to get essentially today, Regan, your biggest takeaways that don't involve Shamar Stewart and Trey Hendrickson from the Bengals off season. You've covered the Bengals now for a year and a half, going on 2 years. This will be your second year in Cincinnati, correct?
Correct. My 1 year is actually next week. My 1 year anniversary here in Cincinnati.
1 year anniversary. So next year will be your second year. You are no longer a rookie on the Bengals beat. What were some of your biggest takeaways that didn't involve the contract situations of the two defensive ends everybody was talking about in off-season workouts?
I think the biggest thing for me is on the offensive side of the ball. I didn't exactly spend, and as we do sometimes, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Mike Gesicki, the list goes on and on and on.
Sure.
They're eye-catching, right? And that's truthfully what, our Fox 19 viewers are interested in. What happened on the offensive side of the ball? And as you have stated, many issues on the defensive side of the ball and some absences there. So my eyes, truthfully, on the offense, my number one thing, this is the first offseason that Joe Burrow has been healthy and that everyone has been here, the likes of all of the names that I just said. So to me, that stood out from the get-go. They were all there. Mostly, I think every day Joe Burrow had missed a few of the workouts there in the beginning, but everyone was there. Everyone was getting those reps. Even the guys said, as many reps as we can get in the off season, that's going to help us moving forward into training camp. That stuck out to me because I think it's a rhythm that this offense has not had in the past. Joe Burrow's injuries on top of other things, contract disputes come last season. The list goes on and on, right? So for me, it doesn't seem like there's any drama on the offensive side of the ball.
That's a good thing, Regan. I think that's a good thing. And let me jump in here because, as you know, I despise drama in general in my personal life.
I do know that, yes.
Yeah. As someone up in New England once told me, drama is not your friend, but I've gone over and over that before, the words from Bill Belichick. Drama is not your friend. On the offensive side of the ball, I think you are 100% right. If you go back to Joe Burrow, even starting in the COVID year, 2020 was COVID, 2021 was coming off the ACL, 2022 was the appendicitis, 2023 was the calf strain, and last year, 2024, he was coming off the significant wrist injury, so significant, no major quarterback had ever come back from that type of intricate, delicate surgery on his throwing wrist and been able to perform at a high level, not to mention arguably an MVP level that Joe Burrow did. No drama yet. Knock wood, find that piece of wood, knock on it. No drama yet there. No drama with the wide receivers and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. The biggest question mark I have offensively is naturally, are the two guards going to be competent enough? Is Dylan Fairchild at left guard, a rookie
Mhm.
out of Georgia, going to be sufficient enough? Or is he going to get pushed? And at right guard, you're talking about Lucas Patrick, the free agent from the Saints,
Mhm.
and obviously Cody Ford, who they kind of swapped equal reps during minicamp. I think it
Yep.
started off as Lucas Patrick at right guard, and then it was Cody Ford jumping in. I thought Cody Ford last year, and you can give your 2 cents here, Reagan. I thought Cody Ford was one of their, if not their most versatile linemen last year.
For sure. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And I think you're right in that the offensive line and those two guard spots are the biggest question mark on the offensive side of the ball coming into the season. But in talking, Orlando Brown Jr. will always tell you how it is. And it's the same with Ted Karras. I feel like all of the offensive linemen, I always call them like the biggest teddy bears because they're just the most approachable guys in the locker room, but they will tell you straight up what they think and how it is. And I've only heard positive things about Dylan Fairchild. I got to sit down with him after he was drafted, the day after, and just talking to him, his charisma, his energy. He will do anything to protect Joe Burrow. I think I really enjoyed his vibe and how much work he puts in and his work ethic. And I think that has been clearly evident so far in minicamp and throughout the offseason. I'm excited to see, what kind of next step he can take once training camp comes in a few weeks.
I think what's interesting about Dylan Fairchild were the comments from Joe Burrow towards the end of mandatory minicamp, and that were actually at the beginning of mandatory minicamp.
Mm-hmm.
When asked about Dylan Fairchild, Joe Burrow said, well, I'll tell you this. He acts like he's confident, and he is confident out on the field, and that's a good step forward. You want a rookie to be able to come in, not be awed by the situation, be able to pick up his pass blocking assignments different. Because right now, what Dylan Fairchild is trying to do, as any rookie offensive lineman in the NFL is trying to do, he's trying to assimilate all of the protections, all of the language that goes on and is communicated from Ted Karras, the center, and obviously Joe Burrow, the quarterback. And for Joe Burrow to say that, I think is a good step. Pat, we have to emphasize here, and we're both, Reagan, you and me are both very aware pads have not gone on. We're not going to know how they look or how a guy like Dylan Fairchild looks until he puts on the pads and goes up against TJ Slayton, let's say, on a stunt in practice. I think it's going to be a more physical training camp this year. It's going to be in the morning. We can get your thoughts on that, which I think is a great idea, by the way. But we're not going to know until they put the pads on just how much Dylan Fairchild can handle as a rookie. I think the Bengals are banking on right now him being able to handle enough to be the starting left guard on opening day in Cleveland on September 7th.
I think, too, we're in the business of getting ahead of ourselves.
Sure. That's what we do.
That. We all do, right? That's what we get paid the big bucks for. Okay. And again, as you said, the pads have not gone on yet. We have not actually seen real live reps, or so we're going to call that. Okay. So yes, but I do think the Bengals have a big belief in him that he can step in right away and make an impact. And they need that. So, which is why they drafted him, obviously. So I think, I think come July, once the pads do come on, things will be telling. But yeah, when you have Joe Burrow, of all people, saying he's as confident as he is, you definitely have to feel good about that for sure.
I don't think there's any question about that. The right guard position, to me, I think they're a little more uncertain, but I don't think uncertain in a necessarily bad way. I think they feel like whoever wins, Cody Ford or Lucas Patrick, they're going to win a tough competitive battle in training camp, and then that will mean that they are ready to go come the start of the season. All right, on the other side of the ball, I want to talk about the safety position because this is, to me, the biggest concern on the team. Not necessarily the players that are starting, but the depth at this position. And when you're talking about Geno Stone and Jordan Battle, behind them is Dejon Anthony, right now, and Tyson Anderson. Neither of which, well, I shouldn't say that. Dejon Anthony played significantly in the first 2 weeks of last year. Then there was that play at the end of the Kansas City game, and he didn't see the field much thereafter. Tyson Anderson has been almost exclusively a special teams player. And I think, if truth be told, put a serum into Zach Taylor and Darren Simmons, special teams coordinator, I think they would rather just keep him on special teams. It was interesting to me that Dax Hill pointed out the work of PJ Jules this offseason and how he stepped forward in the meetings. And I don't know if a PJ Jules is going to come forward, or Shaquan Loyal out of Rutgers. Is he a free agent, undrafted rookie free agent who could make some impact? But to me, the Bengals have to find some answers in terms of depth. And maybe a guy like Justin Simmons, with names been bandied about all offseason, maybe he's somebody that can come in at the last second and provide some depth. But other than that, that's the big concern for me. And those are where a lot of the questions have to be answered.
You know, it's interesting because a lot of my questions surrounding the Bengals, again, this is now my second season covering the beat, my first full off season.
Right.
And you have the Bengals draft these guys, but then I feel like they're not, actually, I don't feel like, I know they're not developed properly. And so you have Dejon Anthony, a second-year guy now, who clearly needs to take a step and make that big leap forward. And you just kind of question, is it going to happen? And there's question marks among all of the second-year class, right? Among last year's rookie class, and then being able to make that jump forward. So I agree with you in the sense that it's not just at the safety position as well. The Bengals have in the past, especially last season, and I think going into this year, have struggled with depth at multiple positions. And I agree with you, especially at safety. Don't think there's any question. Well, there's still definitely questions around Geno Stone and Jordan Battle. But once you get past those two, where are we going? And I do think that Tyson Anderson, great guy, by the way. Great guy.
I actually think he could be.
Things.
I think he can be a captain. I don't think there's any question about it. He's that well liked and that respected. Continue.
He really has only been a special teams player. So maybe in training camp, this is what it's for, is for these guys to be able to prove themselves, and for, you know, the rookies and the non-starters, the second, third team guys, to get these reps. So maybe Tyson does, you know, push forward and kind of make that, you know, argument for himself to be in the conversation, to be one of those depth guys at the safety position. I'm not sure I see that necessarily happening, but that's what training camp is all for. It's for these guys to show that they deserve, you know, a spot on the roster. So I'm here for it. I think it's so interesting because there's always so many conversations that we have in this summer break time, because we're like, what can we talk about? What
dig. What is it all about these days now? It's not necessarily the storylines. It's content.
Right.
You've heard me preach this in the media room, outside the tunnel when the players walk off, and I'm there by myself working on a story and just angrily typing on my keypad or my keyboard. And I'm like, it's all about content. All they care about is content. They don't care. But this is one of those things where I think with the Bengals and depth in the secondary and depth in general in the defense, and we'll get to more of that in a moment, where I don't think it's just about content. It's a storyline that we're going to be following very closely. Speaking with Regan Holgate of Fox 19, the official TV station of the Cincinnati Bengals. Want to tell you about All Good. All Good has been helping homeowners for 32 years. When looking for a home improvement company, the number one quality that I was looking for and that most people look for in helping remodel or home repair around the house, the one thing they're looking for is trust. For the last 32 years, All Good has been trusted to help homeowners replace their windows, install new vinyl siding, install new gutters, and professionally install a new roof, as the lovely Deborah Ann and I had done on our home just about a month and a half ago. Ed Grant's folks at All Good, they came through big time. All Good offers interest-free financing with payment starting at just $99 a month. And this is important. No money down. All of All Good's products are professionally installed and backed by both a material and labor warranty. Right now, All Good is offering a 50% off sale or buy one, get one free. For more details and to schedule a free in-home consultation, simply call 513-247-2900. That's 513-247-2900, or go to myallgoodhome.com. Back with Regan Holgate of Fox 19 in Cincinnati. Regan, we were talking about the defense before the break, and I want to get your thoughts on the defensive line, because obviously a storyline is going to be what's going to happen at the defensive edge. Do the Bengals have enough depth if Trey Hendrickson isn't in camp? And if Shamar Stewart, if that rookie contract default language doesn't get ironed out in time. The good news, according to defensive coordinator Al Golden, towards the end of minicamp, he said that, well, this is going to give us a chance to look at guys we may not otherwise have gotten serious first team and second team rep looks at. So I think that's the way the Bengals are going into it. I think it's okay for the first week or so of training camp to think like that. But after a while, you've got to get these guys in camp. You've got to get rotations established, I think, so that guys know their roles. Like in any sport, Regan, if players know their roles, know where they're going to be in the rotation, especially at defensive end, that's going to behoove the Bengals.
Yeah, it's so hard because obviously you want Trey Hendrickson to be there. You want Shamar to be there as well. And hopefully those contracts can get figured out and we can actually go into the beginning of training camp not having any question marks like there have been in the past seasons, right? That would be phenomenal. Will that happen? We shall see. But I agree with you in the fact that, and Joe Burrow even said the same thing, you know, when asked if the Trey Hendrickson situation was a distraction, he said yes at the start, and then was like, but it's great for these younger guys to get those reps. And I think that's important. But when you talk about the defensive line and the struggles that they've had in the past, things need to be cemented in training camp. That's what this is for. And you want to see. So
yes, great point.
There's a level of concern there, I think. And yeah, it's great that these younger guys will get those reps and potentially, you know, make those moves forward and all of that. But there's so many question marks around the defense at this point under Al Golden. And we all know they have a lot to prove this season. That's not news to anyone. So I think it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough if there are those holes on the defensive line like we are expecting, or at least as there are right now. So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest question mark. You know, we talked about the offensive line, but I think the defensive line is the biggest concern heading into training camp and potentially into week 1 of the season.
One of the guys that I think Regan has to absolutely step forward this year and is being given that one more year because he got a 1-year contract extension is Joseph Ossai. This is his chance to earn not a little bit of money, but a lot of money. If he can be a go-to guy on the defensive edge, be more consistent from the start of the season throughout the season. The issue with, or the benefit, I should say, one of the things that Joseph Ossai has done very well in 2022 and last year, every other year, has been coming on strong at the end of the season. Well, he's got to start out the season strong. And he's fully healthy. There's no excuses of any injuries lingering in his short-term past. He's got to come out of the chute all guns blazing, get after the quarterback, be a presence to be accounted for by the offensive line every single game from the start of the season going forward.
And I think he can. You know, the Bengals wouldn't have given him this prove-it-year contract, if you will, if he couldn't, right? I think the ability is there, but we saw it was a trend last season. Obviously, the missed tackles were a big big point of contention and conversation, but it's also just about finishing. And I think you see that from Joseph Ossai, but all the way through the entire defense as well. So to me, that's something I think to watch as well. But I really do. I enjoy Joseph Ossai. Great personality. Truly one of the funniest people I've ever talked to. Makes you laugh every time. Gives it to you straight. Knows that he has a lot to prove this season, and feels confident that he can. So I'm here for it. I call him Josai. He doesn't like it.
Yeah.
But
why? That's actually a very witty nickname. I love that nickname.
He told me about it because we started this segment called Rapid Fire with Regan. It's the most mundane thing out there.
This is what we're here for.
It's quite straightforward, okay? I spend time with these guys and just ask them rapid fire questions. Some of them don't exactly understand the rapid part of the segment. Like we're doing this, okay? We're not taking 5 to 10 seconds to answer a question, boys. No, but Joseph, I was asking him about nicknames, in the locker room, and he said some of the guys call him Josai, and I was like, it's a combination of the two. I kind of like it, and so I've gone along with it. He's not a huge fan of it, but
I wonder why.
There you go. There's that anecdote for you. I don't know.
I love anecdotes. We are here for the anecdotes. On the
right, that's the content, Trags. There you go.
Okay, I want to get your impression and your opinion on someone else very much under the microscope, Myles Murphy. First rounder in 2023. He's been disappointing in the first 2 seasons. There is a lot being expected of him, and I think for good reason. Look, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head what Al Golden said. It's go time. The time is now, something along those lines. He said about Myles Murphy when asked about him by the media last week. And I want to get your impressions. Do you think, based on your interactions with him, based on what you've seen, he's capable of taking not a little step forward, but a significant step forward in 2025?
Unfortunately, I haven't had many interactions with him, but I do know what has been said about him from Al Golden, other players on the defensive side of the ball. I do think the possibility of him taking a step forward is there. But again, this goes back to development that I talked about, and I think that hasn't been there the past 2 seasons. So maybe, and I do think there's a lot of hope and positivity now under Al Golden and what he will do with this defense, and also specifically when we're talking about the development of these young players, because he has so much stake in the college game, and he has quite the resume there. I do believe that he can be in the conversation, and he has to be. Like this feels like a make it or break it situation, and that might seem a little bit dramatic, but I think we're there. It's hard. I do wish I would have had more interactions with him.
You'll have your chances this year. I mean, if he's a significant role player on the defense, the Bengals want him to step forward. Not only produce, that's the obvious, right? He's got to be more productive at his position, but they want him to be more of a presence in the locker room. Doesn't mean he has to be a captain. Okay. It doesn't mean that at all. But does he need to be more vocal? When he talks, do other players go, oh, I see what you see, Myles? And is he a presence in the locker room? I think that's what the Bengals are hoping for, beyond the obvious. You need to produce more. You need to get to the quarterback. You need to rush the quarterback. Beyond that, I think the Bengals would like him to be able to stand up, step forward, and take a more vocal role in the locker room. Speaking with Regan Holgate of Fox 19 here in Cincinnati. Want to tell you about Prize Picks, the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cold, hard cash. With millions of members, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Join millions of users and sign up today. On Prize Picks, by the way, you can mix and match player projections from different sports. Combine your favorite basketball players with players from baseball, hockey, esports, and much, much more. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. And who's perfect? You can double your money even if one of your picks does not hit. Want to tell you about every Friday being Flex Friday. Make sure you opt in and tap the checkbox in your lineup builder to be eligible for protected play. Choose squares from any game on the board. If your lineup does not win, you get your net losses back in promo funds up to your promo limit as soon as the lineup settles. Download the app today and use the code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That code is, once again, CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Back with Regan Holgate, finishing up here on this Jungle Roar podcast, one of the final podcasts before the month of July, and we all get to take a bit of a deep breath, right, Regan? Are you going to hit the golf course, by the way? I know you're an avid golfer. Will you be hitting the golf course?
Oh, I will. Actually, I have a tee time later this week, and which might be a mistake on my part considering how hot it's going to be, but I made it for very, very early in the morning. Might be the earliest I've ever
that's
played
not
golf.
bad.
No, I think I'll survive. And look, I got to get out on the golf course. I'm like itching to. And you know what? I wanted to bring this up, Trags, because you're just the best. When you tweeted yesterday about the end of the Travelers Championship, and I was just like, you know what? This is why Trags is a great follow on X, Twitter, whatever you call it, because he just gets it. You get it. And that made me so happy to see, because I was ecstatic about the way that yesterday ended. So you know what? I'm here for it. I love that energy out of you, Trags. Okay.
I appreciate that, Regan. That's very, very kind of you. Keegan Bradley. That is a great storyline, as
so
many people know. I worked in New England for a couple of decades. Keegan Bradley is a New England native. He grew up on that golf course in Cromwell, Connecticut. And it's a beautiful golf course. It's a TPC Highlands golf course, immaculately kept, obviously. And for him to come from behind, and you very much feel for Tommy in that case. It's a horrible way to end, and eventually he is going to get his first win. But it was brutal to watch for Tommy, but great for Keegan Bradley. So, and that was quite the lead-in into the NBA Finals game number 7, I thought. Not on the same network, but what were your thoughts on the game 7, by the way?
Oh, heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. Truly, like, my heart sank when he went down, because when Tyrese Halliburton went down, you knew that it was bad. You saw his immediate reaction, and I was just like, oh man, not game 7, the biggest game of your career, of the season, obviously, but in potentially of your career, and it ends like that is truly horrible. But it's just, I can't get past this, and I can't say that I'm a massive, NBA follower. I love the playoffs. I love the finals. Sure. But these guys trying to play through calf strains 3 times now. Yes. 3 times in these playoffs, they've left with torn Achilles. There is a clear correlation there. And I get it. He would be absolutely, blasted by the entirety of social media if he didn't play in game 7. I understand that. But now just look at the way that it ended. Horrible. And, the Pacers held on there for a while. I was like, okay, maybe they'll still make this a game. It was tough. It was like another blowout in the finals.
I think the toughest camera shot for me was that of John Halliburton, Tyrese's father, in the crowd. That was very difficult to watch, because you knew what had to be going through his dad's mind as he's watching his son pound the court. I mean, it was a great series. I must say it was phenomenal drama for 6.5 games. TJ McConnell, God bless TJ McConnell, the pride of Arizona. He did everything he could, but I knew that game was pretty much done when he drove into the lane, and there was and no one on the Pacers did anything to help him, and he was stuck in the paint. I'm like, well, you can't, if you're 5'10" or 5'11", whatever TJ McConnell is, drive into 6'8" players and not expect them to collapse. And eventually have nowhere to go with the ball and think that's going to end well. Another player who I felt badly for last night with Ohio roots, Obi Toppin. He did not have a good game. A couple of key turnovers, and
it was tough. Even a lot of I saw on Twitter this morning, a lot of the Pacers guys were just saying that when Tyrese went down, it kind of took the wind out of their sails. It just was like, it was deflating. And it was like, how do we come back and how do we continue to play? And you saw that, as the game went on, which is tough. Which
it is. I want to wrap up. I want to wrap up the Jungle Roar pod by getting your impressions of Dax Hill, because I think there's going to be a lot of focus on Dax Hill as training camp begins on July 23rd with morning practices. What do you think his role is going to be? And do you think he would make, because he was asked about this by Jay Morrison of SI and BengalsTalk.com, do you want to be a captain? And I thought it was a fascinating question.
I'm interested if he's a vocal leader like that, because the defense needs it. Joe Burrow even said, Jermaine Pratt was that guy. He's not there anymore. So who fills that role on the defensive side of the ball? Maybe it could be.
And Sam Hubbard's not there anymore. All
of the defensive captains aren't with the team anymore. Von Bell and Akeem Davis-Gaither. So yes, there's been a clear shift on the defensive side. So we'll see come captains who that will be, and maybe Dax Hill does make a push there, as we said. Myles Murphy, maybe, you never know. But I think there's going to be some hesitation with Dax Hill in the beginning, just coming off of an ACL. That's a tough injury, and I think
it is. But I will say this, Regan, I feel better for whatever reason. Maybe it's the medical science, the physical rehab that's been demonstrated. I don't feel as bad about a guy coming off an ACL as I do playing with a strained calf. That's why when you look back at Joe Burrow in 2022 or 23, when he strained his calf.
23, yeah.
Yeah. There was concern there for a number of different reasons, not the least of which based on what happened to guys like Jason Tatum and obviously Tyrese Halliburton in Game 7. The difference being Joe Burrow is not as mobile as those guys. He doesn't need explosiveness in his run game. Yeah, he's athletic and he can dance around in the pocket. And there are those cases where he does, pivot, dig into the ground, and then take off. But I think he was protecting it much more then. But anyway, my rambling point here is that I think with Dax Hill, I'm confident that he can make a full recovery and still be a very good player on the outside. And Dax Hill, he told us this before he left for summer break. He said, I'm on schedule. I feel good. I should be back, hopefully cleared by the time training camp begins.
He looks good. Any view I ever got him on the rehab field, he looks good too. So I don't know if I necessarily have any questions there. I think I always have a little bit of hesitancy with guys that are coming off of major injuries and what it's going to look like, in training camp. But also, these are professional athletes. They know what they're doing. One more thing before we end this.
I love being interviewed on my own podcast.
No, I know. I'm sorry. I
love it.
Sometimes it's so hard for me to flip and be interviewed. No, this isn't. I'm not asking anything. But you just said we all know Joe Burrow's athletic. These videos of him throwing a baseball that went viral over the weekend. Trags, I can't get over it.
I was shocked, actually, to be honest.
As was the rest of the world. What? He has a baseball background as well. He played a ton of baseball growing up. So it's like,
I wonder if repetitive motion in football changed the way he grips and throws a baseball
like he was throwing a football.
That's what I think it was. Yeah. It has to be the only explanation. He truly genuinely is a great athlete. B, he did play baseball. He was a 3-sport athlete, and he played at a reasonably competent, one would say, high level for high school. Yeah, it was bizarro to watch the ball. Like he was pulling everything down and to the left.
And across his body, yeah.
Across his body. I'm like, what is he doing?
I know, I know. We went outside, yes, on Sunday because we wanted this to be a segment on Cincinnati's sports show. We all went out and threw the baseball about as far as he did, I think. And we were all like, what are we missing here?
I think it's
this man
his
is
finish
so far outside of the strike zone. But yeah, it's very interesting. Okay, that was my last little tidbit. I still can't get over those videos.
Agreed. All right, we're going to let you go. I know you've got to get on with your day. I know you're a very, very busy reporter. You do a fabulous job at Fox 19, Regan Holgate. Anything you would like to push? Anything you're working on this week? I assume Chase Burns is going to be a big part of your story as he makes his Reds Major League debut against the New York Yankees on Tuesday night.
Yeah, welcome to the big league, sir. No, so Tuesdays are red hot on Fox 19. We have also partnered with the Cincinnati Reds this season. So Chase Burns' debut as a Cincinnati Red will air on Fox 19. So we are very excited for that. Full coverage, of course, in the afternoon and post as well. It'll be great. So very excited for that.
And where can people catch your stuff on social?
Holgate Regan on X, on Twitter, whatever you call it, Regan Holgate on Facebook, and also just follow along with Fox 19. Download the free Fox 19 Sports app. That's where we have plenty of podcasts for you to watch. Charlie Goldsmith is now a good friend of Fox 19, a contributor there as well. Oh, the AirPod just lost it. Plenty of good stuff that we're putting out on social, so just make sure to tune in. And Cincinnati Sports Show, Sundays at 11:30. We have a lot of fun, maybe too much fun.
No, you can never have too much fun. Strike those words from your mouth.
Sometimes I'm like, maybe they should put a muzzle on us. But yeah, no, it's great. Sundays at Fox 19 are awesome. So make sure to tune in.
All right, I've got to wrap up here because the lawnmowers are outside the studio. My name is Mike Petralia. Her name is Regan Holgate. Does a tremendous job for Fox 19, the official TV station of the Cincinnati Bengals. I want to thank our sponsors. That would be All Good Home Improvement and, of course, Prize Picks and CLNS Media. Our friends there, we couldn't do it without you. Until next time, you know the tagline by now. Keep that jungle roaring.